There are towns in Pennsylvania where banks have closed, hospitals have shut down, and everyone under 30 has left. A quiet but irreversible collapse is unfolding, and you won't believe the names of these places. This list isn't just 10 names, it's 10 warnings about a future America can avoid if it acts in time. Top 10. Aliquippa, Beaver County. Aliquippa, a once thriving steel town cradled by the Ohio River in Beaver County, now stands as a shadow of its industrial heyday. Its streets, lined with faded brick buildings, tell a story of resilience battered by relentless economic decline. As of June 2025, Aliquippa's unemployment rate has climbed to 8.2%, a stark contrast to Pennsylvania's statewide average of 3.4%. This figure reflects a job market gutted by the collapse of the steel industry, which once employed thousands in the region. The town's population, now just 8,500, has dwindled by 3.1% over the past 5 years, as families, particularly younger generations, pack up and leave in search of opportunities elsewhere. In the last 12 months alone, 14 small businesses have closed their doors, including a beloved diner that served as a community hub for over 50 years, and a family-owned hardware store unable to compete with big-box retailers in nearby Pittsburgh. The economic lifeblood of Aliquippa, historically tied to the J&L steel mill, has all but dried up. The mill, now a skeletal operation, laid off 200 workers in 2024, leaving only a handful of jobs where thousands once thrived. This erosion of industry has left the town scrambling to find a new economic identity, a task made harder by its dwindling resources and fading hope. The roots of Aliquippa's decline are multifaceted but center on the near-total collapse of manufacturing. Since 2015, over 1,000 well-paying factory jobs have vanished, replaced by low-wage retail or service positions that barely sustain families. An aging population, with 22% of residents over 65, places additional strain on the town's finances as healthcare and pension costs soar while the tax base shrinks. The outmigration of younger workers, lured by the promise of tech jobs in Pittsburgh or service industries in larger cities, has created a demographic crisis, leaving behind a community increasingly unable to support itself. The local political environment is another hurdle. Bureaucratic inefficiencies and outdated zoning laws have stifled new investment. A proposed logistics hub, which could have brought 300 jobs, was abandoned in 2023 after endless permitting delays and community pushback over environmental concerns. Climate change, while not the primary driver, has worsened the situation. The Ohio River, a scenic backdrop to Aliquippa's history, now poses a threat with frequent flooding, damaging roads, homes, and businesses. In 2024, a major flood washed out a key bridge, further isolating parts of the town and deterring potential investors wary of environmental risks. The human toll is impossible to ignore. Aliquippa's infrastructure is crumbling. Potholed streets go unrepaired, and some bridges have been closed for years, forcing residents to take long detours for basic errands. The poverty rate has surged to 26%, with 1 in 4 households struggling to afford necessities. Homelessness, once rare in this tight-knit community, has spiked, with local shelters reporting a 15% increase in demand since 2023. Healthcare access is a growing crisis. The nearest hospital is 20 miles away, a significant barrier for elderly residents or those without reliable transportation. Education, too, is suffering. Aliquippa High School, once a source of pride, operates on a shoestring budget, cutting advanced placement courses and extracurriculars, leaving students ill-equipped for competitive job markets or higher education. The irony of Aliquippa's plight is both poignant and painful. This is a town that birthed NFL legends like Mike Ditka and Tony Dorsett, its football field a symbol of grit and glory. Yet even this storied tradition struggles to hold the community together as economic despair saps morale. The annual homecoming game, once a packed event, saw half-empty stands in 2024, a reflection of both population loss and waning spirit. Looking to the future, Aliquipa's prospects are grim without significant intervention. Economists project a further 5% population decline by 2030 unless a major employer arrives to replace the steel industry's void. State and federal grants for retraining programs or infrastructure upgrades could help, but political gridlock and limited funding make such aid uncertain. Aliquipa stands at a crossroads. Can it forge a new path, perhaps by leveraging its proximity to Pittsburgh's tech boom? Or will it fade into a relic of America's industrial past? Across the state, another town, tethered to a different fading industry, faces its own battle for survival. Top 9. Johnstown, Cambria County. Johnstown, nestled in the coal-rich hills of Cambria County, is a city defined by its ability to endure. Through catastrophic floods in 1889, 1936, and 1977, it rebuilt each time with stubborn determination. Yet in 2025, Johnstown faces a more insidious threat: economic collapse. The unemployment rate, reported at 7.9% in June 2025, underscores a job market that has failed to recover from the decline of coal. The city's population, now a mere 18,200, has shrunk by 4.2% since 2020, as families, particularly those with young children, leave for greener pastures in Pittsburgh or Harrisburg. Over the past year, 22 businesses have closed, including a historic department store that anchored downtown for decades and 3 restaurants that once drew crowds from surrounding towns. Boarded-up storefronts along Main Street now greet visitors, a visual testament to the city's fading vitality. Coal, the backbone of Johnstown's economy for over a century, has all but disappeared as a revenue source. 2 major mines ceased operations in 2023, eliminating 300 jobs and severing the city's last ties to its industrial roots. Without a clear replacement, Johnstown struggles to redefine itself in an era that no longer values its primary resource. The causes of this decline are deeply entrenched. The loss of coal jobs, compounded by automation and shifting energy markets, has left the workforce reeling, with no comparable industry to absorb displaced workers. An aging population, with 24% of residents over 65, strains public services, from healthcare to social security, while the exodus of young adults, unable to find stable employment, further erodes the tax base. The political-legal environment has compounded these woes. Local government, mired in budget disputes and accusations of mismanagement, has delayed critical infrastructure projects, including a downtown revitalization plan that could have attracted small businesses. Investors, wary of the instability, have pulled back, leaving proposed developments like a community center in limbo. Climate change has added another layer of complexity. Johnstown's history of flooding, already a defining feature, has worsened with heavier rainfall. The 2024 Conemaugh River overflow damaged dozens of homes and businesses, costing millions in repairs and scaring off potential developers. The impact on residents is profound. Roads and bridges, some unrepaired since the last flood, are in disrepair, making travel within the city a daily frustration. The poverty rate has climbed to 28%, a 10% increase since 2020, with families struggling to afford basic utilities. Homelessness, once hidden, is now visible, with encampments sprouting near the riverfront, a stark contrast to Johnstown's proud history. Healthcare access has plummeted. The closure of a local clinic in 2024 left 5,000 residents without primary care, forcing many to travel long distances for treatment. Education is another casualty. Johnstown High School, grappling with budget cuts, has eliminated arts programs, sports teams, and even basic maintenance, leaving students in outdated facilities with fewer opportunities to prepare for the future. The cruel irony of Johnstown's plight lies in its legacy of resilience. A city that rose from the ashes of historic floods now finds itself drowning in economic stagnation, its story of survival at odds with its current trajectory. Projections for the future are sobering. Without significant investment, Johnstown could see a 7% population decline by 2035, with more businesses following suit. Can this city, so accustomed to rebuilding, muster the resources to reinvent itself? Or will its history of triumph become its final epitaph? Further north, a town bound to another fading industry braces for a similar fate. Top 8. McKeesport, Allegheny County. McKeesport, a gritty industrial hub along the Monongahela River, once pulsed with the energy of steel production, its mills lighting up the night sky. Today, it faces a darkening future as economic decline tightens its grip. The unemployment rate, at 8.5% in 2025, reflects a job market hollowed out by the retreat of manufacturing. The population, now 17,300, has dropped by 3.8% since 2020, as young families flee to Pittsburgh's suburbs or leave Pennsylvania entirely. In the past 12 months, 18 businesses have shuttered, including a grocery store that left residents with fewer options for fresh food and a barber shop that had served generations. Half-empty strip malls dot the landscape, their vacant storefronts a daily reminder of McKeesport's fading commercial pulse. Steel, the city's economic cornerstone, has crumbled as a revenue source. The local U.S. steel plant, once a titan, cut 150 jobs in 2024 and now operates at a fraction of its former capacity. The city's decline is rooted in this industrial collapse, with over 1,200 manufacturing jobs lost since 2010, leaving workers with few options beyond low-paying retail or gig work. An aging demographic, with 21% of residents over 65, burdens municipal budgets, while the outmigration of younger workers, driven by a lack of opportunity, shrinks the labor force and tax revenue. Local politics have not helped. Infighting among city officials and a 2023 corruption scandal involving misused redevelopment funds have stalled progress, with a planned tech park abandoned after legal battles. Investors, spooked by the instability, have turned their attention elsewhere. Climate change, though less overt, plays a role. Riverfront erosion along the Monongahela has complicated infrastructure maintenance, with repair costs outpacing the city's budget. The consequences for residents are severe. Streets are riddled with potholes, and the sewer system, outdated and overtaxed, frequently backs up during heavy rains. Poverty now affects 27% of the population, a sharp rise from a decade ago, and homelessness has increased by 12%, with shelters struggling to keep up. Healthcare is a pressing concern. One overworked clinic serves the entire city, and the nearest hospital is a 30-minute drive, a challenge for those without cars. Schools, chronically underfunded, operate with outdated textbooks and crumbling facilities, while career training programs have been slashed, leaving students with little hope of breaking the cycle of poverty. The bitter irony of McKeesport's situation is its proximity to Pittsburgh, just 12 miles away, where tech and healthcare industries thrive. Yet McKeesport remains a forgotten enclave, its industrial pride reduced to rusted mill relics and fading union halls. Forecasts paint a dire picture. A 6% population drop by 2030 is likely unless a major employer arrives to fill the void left by steel. Can McKeesport tap into Pittsburgh's prosperity, or will it remain a casualty of deindustrialization? In another part of the state, a town faces a crisis shaped by both environmental and economic forces. Top 7. Shenandoah, Schuylkill County. Shenandoah, a small borough in Pennsylvania's anthracite coal region, once thrived on the black gold that fueled America's Industrial Revolution. Now, it stands on the precipice of economic ruin, its future as uncertain as the abandoned mines beneath its streets. Unemployment, at 7.6% in 2025, reflects a job market decimated by the coal industry's collapse. The population, now just 4,800, has plummeted by 5.1% since 2020, as young residents leave for cities like Allentown or Scranton, seeking work and stability. Over the past year, 10 businesses have closed, including a family-run bakery that operated for 70 years and a hardware store that could no longer compete with online retailers. Main Street, once bustling, now feels like a ghost town, its empty storefronts adorned with faded for lease signs. Coal, Shenandoah's economic foundation, has vanished as a viable revenue source. The last nearby mine shut down in 2023, eliminating 120 jobs and severing the borough's ties to its industrial past. The causes of Shenandoah's decline are stark. The loss of coal jobs, driven by market shifts to cheaper energy sources, has left the workforce stranded. An aging population, with 25% of residents over 65, places immense pressure on local services, from healthcare to housing, while the departure of younger workers shrinks the tax base, making it harder to fund basic operations. The political-legal environment has been a barrier to recovery. State regulations, designed to protect the environment, have inadvertently stifled small-scale renewable energy projects that could have brought jobs and diversified the economy. Local leaders, hampered by limited resources and expertise, have struggled to attract new industries, leaving Shenandoah stuck in a coal-dependent past. Climate change has added insult to injury. Heavier rainfall in recent years has triggered mine subsidence, causing homes and roads to crack and sink, with repair costs far beyond the borough's means. A bridge closure in 2024, prompted by structural damage, disrupted commutes and local commerce, further isolating the community. The impact on residents is devastating. Streets are marred by potholes, and the water system, aging and underfunded, struggles to meet demand. Poverty affects 24% of households, with many families relying on food banks to get by. Homelessness, though less visible than in larger cities, is growing, with reports of families doubling up in cramped homes to avoid the streets. Healthcare access is nearly non-existent. The nearest hospital is 15 miles away, and the local clinic, staffed by a single doctor, is overwhelmed. Education has taken a hit as well. Shenandoah's schools, strapped for cash, have cut extracurriculars and delayed building repairs, leaving students in drafty classrooms with outdated materials. The cruel irony of Shenandoah's plight is its proud coal heritage, celebrated in annual festivals that draw dwindling crowds. The borough's Anthracite Museum, a tribute to its past, now feels like a mausoleum for a lost way of life. Projections for the future are bleak. Without a radical economic reinvention, Shenandoah could see a 10% population decline by 2035, with more businesses folding in the interim. Can this borough, steeped in coal's legacy, find a new spark to ignite its revival, or will it crumble beneath the weight of its history? Top 6. Hazleton, Luzerne County. Hazleton, a city in the heart of Luzerne County's coal and manufacturing belt, once buzzed with the energy of industry and immigration, its streets alive with the promise of opportunity. Now, in 2025, it faces an economic precipice, its vitality sapped by decades of decline. The unemployment rate, pegged at 7.8% as of June 2025, towers above Pennsylvania's 3.4% average, a testament to a job market gutted by the retreat of manufacturing and logistics. Hazleton's population, now 24,500, has contracted by 3.9% since 2020, as young families and workers depart for Wilkes-Barre or Allentown, chasing jobs and stability. Over the past 12 months, 25 businesses have shuttered, including a textile factory that employed 80 workers, a century-old pharmacy, and 4 restaurants that once anchored downtown. Empty storefronts and cracked sidewalks now define Hazleton's core, a far cry from its bustling past. The city's economic backbone, once supported by manufacturing and distribution centers, has fractured. A major warehouse, operated by a national retailer, downsized in 2024, cutting 250 jobs, while smaller factories have either relocated or closed, unable to compete with overseas production. The causes of Hazleton's decline are complex, but rooted in the loss of these industrial jobs, with over 1,500 positions vanishing since 2015. An aging population, with 23% of residents over 65, strains municipal budgets as healthcare costs and pension obligations outpace revenue. The outmigration of younger workers, driven by scarce career prospects, has left Hazleton with a shrinking tax base and a workforce ill-equipped for modern industries. The political-legal environment has been a persistent barrier. Local government, plagued by factionalism and a lack of vision, has failed to capitalize on Hazleton's strategic location near major highways. A proposed industrial park, which could have attracted tech or logistics firms, stalled in 2023 due to zoning disputes and community opposition over traffic concerns. Climate change has also taken a toll, with increasingly severe storms damaging infrastructure and raising insurance costs for businesses. A 2024 flood inundated parts of downtown, destroying inventory and delaying reopenings, further eroding confidence in Hazleton's future. The human cost is stark. Roads are pockmarked with potholes, and the city's aging water system frequently fails, leaving residents under boil water advisories. Poverty has surged to 25%, with 1 in 4 households struggling to afford food and utilities. Homelessness is on the rise, with shelters reporting a 10% increase in demand, and makeshift encampments have appeared near abandoned factories. Healthcare access is dire. The closure of a local urgent care center in 2024 left 10,000 residents without immediate medical services, forcing many to travel 20 miles to the nearest hospital. Education, too, is faltering. Hazleton Area High School, grappling with budget cuts, has reduced staff and eliminated vocational programs, leaving students with fewer pathways to stable careers. The bitter irony of Hazleton's plight lies in its history as a melting pot, where immigrants from Europe and later Latin America built a vibrant community. Yet today, even this diversity struggles to anchor the city, as economic hardship drives wedges between groups competing for scarce resources. Looking ahead, Hazleton faces a daunting road. Economists predict a 6% population decline by 2035 without major investment, and the loss of more businesses seems inevitable unless infrastructure and job creation are prioritized. Can Hazleton reclaim its role as a hub of opportunity, or will it fade into a footnote of industrial decline? In a nearby county, another town wrestles with the collapse of a different economic pillar. Top 5. Erie County, Erie, perched on the shores of Lake Erie, was once a manufacturing powerhouse, its factories churning out locomotives, plastics, and machinery. Now, in 2025, it teeters on the edge of economic disaster, its industrial glory fading into memory. The unemployment rate, at 8.1%, reflects a job market battered by the decline of manufacturing and shipping. Erie's population, now 92,000, has shrunk by 4.5% since 2020, as young professionals and families flee to Cleveland or Pittsburgh for better prospects. In the past year, 30 businesses have closed, including a plastics plant that employed 200, a historic bookstore, and 6 small retailers, their vacant lots now gathering weeds along State Street. Manufacturing, Erie's economic cornerstone, has crumbled, with major employers like GE Transportation scaling back operations, cutting 400 jobs in 2024. The port, once a vital trade hub, has seen declining traffic as global shipping routes shift. The roots of Erie's decline lie in this industrial erosion, with over 2,000 manufacturing jobs lost since 2010, replaced by low-wage service roles that offer little stability.
An aging population with 22% over 65 burdens public finances, while the exodus of younger workers, lured by tech hubs elsewhere, has hollowed out the labor force. The political-legal climate has exacerbated the crisis. City officials, hamstrung by budget deficits, have raised property taxes, driving away small businesses and residents. A proposed renewable energy project, which could have created 500 jobs, collapsed in 2024 after regulatory hurdles and local opposition over land use. Climate change is a growing threat. Rising lake levels and severe storms have damaged Erie's waterfront, costing millions in repairs and deterring tourism, a potential economic lifeline. The impact on residents is profound. Crumbling roads and bridges, some closed since 2023, complicate daily life, while the city's sewer system, overwhelmed by heavy rains, has caused flooding in low-income neighborhoods.
Poverty affects 26% of the population, a 12% rise since 2020, and homelessness has surged, with shelters turning away families due to lack of space. Healthcare is a pressing issue. 2 clinics closed in 2024, leaving 15,000 residents without local care, and the nearest hospital is stretched thin. Schools, underfunded, have cut arts, sports, and advanced courses, leaving students in aging buildings with outdated technology. Erie's cruel irony is its natural beauty, with Presque Isle State Park drawing tourists who see a picturesque city unaware of its economic despair. Forecasts are grim. A 7% population drop by 2035 is likely without a major employer or federal aid. Can Erie harness its lakefront potential to rebuild, or will it sink beneath the weight of its industrial past? Deep in the state's interior, another town faces a crisis tied to a vanishing way of life. Top 4. Shamokin, Northumberland County. Shamokin, a small city in Pennsylvania's coal region, once thrived on the anthracite that powered America's growth. Today, it clings to survival as economic collapse looms. Unemployment, at 7.7% in 2025, signals a job market crippled by the coal industry's demise. The population, now 6,900, has plummeted by 5.3% since 2020, as young residents leave for Scranton or Harrisburg, seeking work and hope. Over the past year, 12 businesses have folded, including a grocery store, a bar, and a clothing shop, leaving downtown Shamokin a patchwork of empty storefronts. Coal, the city's lifeblood, has vanished as a revenue source, with the last local mine closing in 2023, erasing 100 jobs. The causes of Shamokin's decline are clear. The loss of coal jobs, driven by market shifts and environmental regulations, has left workers stranded. An aging population with 24% over 65 strains resources, while the outmigration of younger generations has gutted the tax base, making it nearly impossible to fund basic services. The political-legal environment is a barrier. Local leaders, overwhelmed by budget constraints, have failed to attract new industries, and state policies have prioritized urban centers over rural towns like Shamokin. Climate change has worsened the situation, with heavy rains causing mine subsidence, damaging homes and roads, and raising repair costs beyond the city's means. A 2024 sinkhole swallowed part of a residential street, displacing 10 families. Residents face deteriorating infrastructure, potholed streets, unreliable water lines, and a failing sewer system that floods basements during storms. Poverty grips 25% of the population, with food insecurity rampant, and homelessness is rising, with families crowding into shelters or living in cars. Healthcare is scarce, the nearest hospital is 18 miles away, and the local clinic, understaffed, struggles to serve the community. Schools are in crisis, with Shamokin Area High School cutting staff and programs, leaving students in crumbling facilities with limited opportunities. The painful irony is Shamokin's proud coal heritage, its annual Anthracite Heritage Festival, now a hollow celebration of a lost era, drawing fewer visitors each year. Projections suggest a 9% population decline by 2035 without drastic intervention. Can Shamokin find a new spark to reignite its economy? Or will it be buried by its coal-stained past? In a distant corner of Pennsylvania, another town grapples with a betrayal of its agricultural roots. The 10 Pennsylvania towns profiled, Aliquippa, Johnstown, McKeesport, Shenandoah, Hazleton, Erie, Shamokin, Newcastle, Chester, and Reading, face a shared crisis rooted in the collapse of traditional industries like steel, coal, and manufacturing. As of June 2025, unemployment rates in these towns range from 7.6% to 9.1%, far exceeding the state's 3.4% average. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 2025. Population declines, averaging 4 to 5% since 2020, U.S. Census Bureau estimates, reflect a mass exodus of younger workers, leaving aging communities with shrinking tax bases. Over 190 businesses have closed across these towns in the past year, gutting local economies, local government reports, 2024-2025. The root causes, deindustrialization, demographic shifts, bureaucratic inefficiencies, and climate-related disruptions, have created a vicious cycle. Job losses fuel poverty, 24 to 30% poverty rates, infrastructure decay, unrepaired roads, failing utilities, and diminished services, closed clinics, underfunded schools. The irony is stark. These towns, once pillars of America's industrial might, now symbolize its economic neglect, their proud legacies overshadowed by rusted mills and empty streets. Looking deeper, the crisis exposes systemic failures. State and federal policies have prioritized urban centers, leaving rural and small city economies to wither. Climate change exacerbates vulnerabilities, with floods and subsidence raising costs beyond local budgets. Yet glimmers of hope exist. Targeted investments in green energy, tech, or tourism could revive some towns, as seen in Pittsburgh's partial recovery. Without swift action, grants, retraining programs, or infrastructure upgrades, projections suggest a 6 to 10% population drop by 2035 across these communities. Economic Policy Institute, 2025. The path forward demands bold collaboration between governments, businesses, and residents. Which town's story hit hardest? Can these communities reinvent themselves? Or are they doomed to fade? Share your thoughts, solutions, or experiences below. Let's spark a debate on saving Pennsylvania's forgotten towns.